Hello Oracles! Well, Tesla's FSD Beta version 11 is coming out soon, and that means that wide release is imminent. So we just got confirmation over the weekend that FSD version 11 is starting to roll out to employees. We heard a little while back Elon was kind of alluding to the fact that that was what he was using in his vehicle as he was driving around to test it. Sounded like it was coming soon. He did say within the next month or so we would end up seeing wide release. Well, with version 11 coming out to employees, I believe that we can see wide release coming imminently. Now, before we jump too far into this today, I wanted to give a shout out to two of my longest running patrons right now, Gabach and David Lucchese. You guys have been with us for 6 months as patrons. Thank you all so much. And for those of you who are members over on the YouTube side of things, you guys can see your little icon changing. I love watching that. Sophie, you have been with us for almost 3 months. You will be seeing yours changing very soon as well. Love the fact that you guys give me all the support you give me. If you guys are interested in becoming members and patrons, that link is down in the description. There's a lot of perks that I share over there between a bunch of different spreadsheets that I've got for Tesla and my own personal finances, as well as discounts on all the merchandise that I've got. So again, I will be having more of that in the future. Thank you guys all so much for your support. And I also wanted to give a shout out to Jason Billings and his niece and nephew. They hear me on here all the time saying, "Hello Oreos." And you know what? I love that because I love Oreos. So hello Oreos to you too. So what is the difference between FSD version 11 and the 10.69.3 that we had been seeing previously? Well, FSD version 11 is going to have single stack. What single stack is when you're taking two different software programs. So the basics are they have a highway version of the software and a city streets version of the software. And when you go from one to the other, they need to communicate with each other and there can occasionally be some mistakes and it's very inefficient. So the single stack is both scenarios are using the exact same software. The highway stack was 4 years old and it was just using a single camera version of the technology. So now you can put both versions together with a lot better and more seamless technology moving forward. It's a lot more efficient, it's a lot cleaner, it's going to be a lot safer. So again, this is just rolling out to employees right now. We do not have any drives out there from Omar or anyone else at the moment. We should be seeing those coming out very soon, but this shift over to the single stack in version 11, and this leads me to believe that we should be seeing this wide release rollout of FSD 11 very soon. We'll have the employees get it on the road, they're going to do the first initial testing on it, and then I'm sure that Elon is going to end up releasing this slowly to some other people, just like we had seen when 10.69 had rolled out. It was kind of a slower progression rollout. I have a feeling we're going to see the same exact thing, but this will be the version that goes wide release. And now my engineering prowess is quite minimal, so that was just my very basic explanation of this. There are many people out there who have a lot more detailed information in videos that do go over this. Dr. Know-It-All is one of them. Just watching AI Day 1 and 2 will give you guys a lot of information about that. A lot of that stuff does go over my head, so I'm just giving you guys the basic breakdown. If you want something more in-depth, you will have to go to another channel because I just do not have the knowledge to be able to share that with you guys. Now, one of the things that we discuss all the time as well is the fact that when we do go to wide release, we're going to have significantly more data coming in for Tesla to be able to utilize to continue moving the progress forward when it comes to FSD and solving for level 4 and level 5 autonomy. So something that Nick Gibbs had mentioned on the live stream on Friday is it's not just how much data that comes in that you are collecting that matters, it's also how you process it, because you can have a ton of information that's coming in, but if you have no idea what to do with it, it's not going to matter. This is where Tesla comes in with all of the engineers and Dojo and the auto labelers, because now they do have a way to process all of that data. So when all of that data comes in, they can process all of it to be able to streamline it and move it forward. So that is what is the key difference between what Tesla has and everyone else. Tesla does have more data than everyone else coming in, and they can process it at the same time. No one else has that. You know, as Nick had explained, he goes, even when it comes to LiDAR and radar, that is still data that is coming in. But if you don't know how to process that data, it's not going to matter. And so just to break down the note that we had gotten from Sawyer Merritt over on Twitter, FSD Beta version 11 release notes, and this confirms the single stack, enabled FSD Beta on highway. This unifies the vision and planning stack on and off highway and replaces the legacy highway stack, which is over 4 years old. The legacy highway stack still relies on several single camera and single frame networks and was set up to handle simple lane-specific maneuvers. FSD Beta's multi-camera video networks and next-gen planner that allows for more complex agent interactions with less reliance on lanes make way for adding more intelligent behaviors, smoother control, and better decision-making. So again, this just making it more seamless. This way you're not kind of in two different worlds trying to decipher from one to the other. So this will be the next step, and I have no doubt we'll be seeing this rolling out very soon. And thinking about this technological leap that we are about to embark upon, we go over to Cathie Wood, who over on Twitter had made a good comparison to back in the 1920s. The Roaring Twenties at that time, we went through a pandemic, we went through a world war, we had very high inflation. The Fed had interest rates around 7% to be able to fight that inflation. And at the peak, the inflation was 24% and dropped down to negative 15% within 1 year, and majority of that was due to the fact that they had technological advances in automobiles, in telephone, in electricity, very similar to what we are seeing right now when it comes to the advances in technology. We've got EVs are coming in to take over ICE vehicles, we've got solar and wind power and battery backup are going to be coming in and overtaking oil and current electricity when it comes to the coal power plants. We have massive technological shifts going on at the moment that are very similar to what we had seen back in the 20s. So according to Cathie Wood, if we end up getting the Fed doing a pivot next year and dropping interest rates sooner than expected, we could see ourselves getting into a Roaring Twenties time again. We could see a lot of this boom going on. She did say, however, that if the Fed decides not to pivot at all, that we could end up seeing something more similar to the Great Depression. So two very different scenarios that could play out over the next year depending on how the Fed makes their moves. So again, this is something that Cathie Wood is paying attention to, and she has been urging the Fed to lower the interest rates and not go as aggressive just because she sees things like this going on. So if the Fed is going to continue doing this, but we saw the inflation coming down, if this ends up continuing, she again is going to be urging the Fed to end up lowering rates versus just sitting here and waiting to see what is going to happen. Technology is usually a deflationary pressure. Think about pretty much all the electronics that you purchase. Maybe you pay the same amount for your phone when you get your new one, but the amount of technology that is in that phone is significantly greater than the previous phone that you had. Think about just 10 years ago. You could go out and get yourself a flat screen TV for $400 or $500, and now you can go out there and get one twice the size, and it's LED versus LCD, which is a significantly better technology, for half the price. So this is what we talk about when we talk about deflationary technology. The same exact thing is going to end up happening with EVs, and it's going to happen when we get over to renewable energy as well. As we start getting to economies of scale in both areas, the prices and cost of everything are going to end up coming down. This is going to be the path that we all move as a culture. So as we move in that direction, cost of everything will naturally come down. This will end up leading to a boom where more people are going to have access to better things just because of the cost of everything coming down. And so the next year could really determine what is going to happen in the macro environment based upon the Fed's policy and when that comes out. And so we will have to wait until the next CPI data that comes out, the next PCE data that comes out, just to make sure that inflation is coming down. We will be getting the PPI data that comes out today, that is the Producer Price Index. So we'll see how we are looking at futures. A lot of times when we get the PPI data that comes in, kind of gives us a little forward-looking indication as to what we might see for CPI in the following month. So we'll see what that data comes in at today. And very much like the CPI, while we have been missing expectations, we have been coming down when it comes to the PPI. At the peak in June, we were at 11.3% and have since come down, and last reading was 8.5%. Currently, the forecast for today is going to be 8.3% year over year. So again, we are looking for a trend to be coming down. So if we end up coming in below the 8.5%, that will continue this trend of the PPI data inflation coming down. And so one of the questions I've been getting asked a lot lately is, how much further down is Tesla stock going to go? Have we hit the bottom? I cannot give any advice on that whatsoever. I truly don't know. Nobody knows what the future is going to hold, but just paying attention to the charts, which we will go over tonight, looking at the charts, looking at the sentiment, looking at the fact that Elon looks like he had sold the last couple of days of last week, but we didn't get any Form 4 filings, so either he delayed those Form 4 filings, maybe we get those released first thing this morning, or maybe he wasn't selling and there was just a lot of other volume coming in for a lot of other reasons. We don't know that yet, but looking at the data that we have going on with the macro, with the interest rates, with the inflation, we might end up seeing one more pull down. Looking at Chicken Genius saying 140 as a bottom, that is a potential. Again, if Elon is going to continue selling, then I think we will end up seeing those levels coming down much quicker. If not, we might end up seeing a float around 160, maybe as we get more recession type talk coming in, maybe more inflationary pressure coming in, discussions about maybe lockdowns in China. Those sound like they are going away. It looks like they're easing up their policy over in China when it comes to COVID and how strict they were, but you never know what's going to happen. There's still a lot of fears going on with potential energy issues over in Europe. Lots of different things that could potentially happen in the macro environment. So if Tesla stock does end up pulling down further, I think the majority of the reasons for that pull down would be macro related or just because Elon is selling, and that would strictly be it. But again, neither of those are actual fundamental causes that are bringing the company's stock price down. It is just something that is out of everyone else's control, and we just need to wait it out. That is my opinion. But again, I do not know. We may have already hit the bottom when we hit that 177 mark, and perhaps we end up starting to slowly work our way up from here. Again, we'll get into the charts tonight to show you guys what I have seen in there. Now, at the time of this recording, we are down about 1.75% pre-market. We are right on the edge of potentially breaking out of this downward trend. We had done this previously, that led to a dead cat bounce, and we fell right back into that downward trend. So that's just the charts that we are looking at right now. Again, we'll dive into that more tonight, but that's just what I'm looking at. Don't know where we're going in the future. I just know that I'm very excited about what we are looking at in the future, 5 to 10 years down the road. And as Elon had said himself in an email to all of his Twitter employees, you may have read that I sold a bunch of Tesla stock. The reason I did that was to save Twitter, not because I lack faith in Tesla. I think Tesla stock is going to be worth an immense amount in the future. I sold the stock for Twitter, to keep Twitter alive. And the reason that we are going hardcore with subscribers is to keep Twitter alive. So that's what his focus is right now. Has nothing against Tesla, and I know there's always a concern when somebody says, hey, whenever there's insider trading going on when it comes to a company, that's usually a pause for concern. Well, in this case here, Elon is at least clarifying and saying, look, there is no concern over at Tesla. He is literally selling because he needs money to get Twitter. You got to remember, Elon does not take a salary at all. Elon's not like several of these other billionaires that are out there that have many different sources of income coming in that they can use to spend on something else. He literally had all of his net worth in both Tesla and SpaceX stock. Now he has it over in Twitter as well. So this is where all of his net worth is. So in order for him to purchase something else and move on to another project like a Twitter, he needs to take some of his net worth and sell that off in order to do that. That's truly all that it is. So we are looking to move this forward, but again, that is no concerns for Tesla. Tesla will still have immense value in the future, according to Elon. You guys can let me know in the comments below, when do you think we are going to be seeing wide release of FSD all around the world? Do you think it is actually going to be wide release with FSD version 11? Or do you think that they are going to wide release 10.69.3 instead? And also let me know if you think that we are going to be going into the roaring 20s or into the next Great Depression, and when do you think the Fed is going to need to pivot in order for us to get into the roaring 20s versus falling into the Great Depression. Thank you all so much for watching. I appreciate all of your support and feedback. If you have not subscribed, please do so down below. Sign yourself up for notifications. I am over on Twitter at OracleTim1. I share all the latest Tesla news, pertinent stock market information, and all of my daily trades. We do have a Discord chat, that link is down in the description. And if you'd like to support the channel any further, we do have a Patreon, that link is also in the description. Thank you so much. Have a great one.